In JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, usually when the discussion of what's the most powerful stance comes up, it usually leans towards way more powerful, unstoppable forces of reality bending type of stance. Stands that are just able to, I don't know, redirect fortune, or stands that are able to manipulate gravity, or stands that are just able to take away, ideas of time, or able to rewind time. Just, those types of stands get way more talked about, and I feel like it kind of underrates one of the more actual powerful stands in the series that are definitely should be up there in the discussion of powerful stands. And I feel like one of the ones that definitely gets underrated is the stand Diver Down from Stone Ocean. Now, Diver Down may not show that much of destructional power that's up there with, I don't know, a Made in Heaven or a GER type of shit, but I think people seem to forget how powerful and terrifying truly Diver Down really is. For one thing, it has this reconstructional ability. Now, the reason why I like to bring this up is because people seem to misinterpret his ability. People seem to think that all his ability can do is just phase into objects. Now, that is true to a certain degree. People seem to kind of use this as a way to not bring him up in the powerful discussions, because for one thing, most stands can really do that if there's an opening. But the thing is that is not really Diver Down's ability. Diver Down's ability doesn't just phase into objects, it reconstructions it in the insides. Now, how this works is that once Diver Down gets inside of a person or an object, he's able to reconstruct the insides or workarounds around that object. For one example, he was able to reconstruct his face to make it a lot more bigger using the chocolate surrounding him. Or he was able to reconstruct the ribcage of the survivor user, making it into an entire trap, meaning that if someone were to touch him, the ribcage would basically latch onto your arm, kind of like a saw trap in a way. And one of my favorite examples is when he was able to completely one-shot and take down the Yo-Yo Ma user by just hitting him in the head and replacing his brain with the workarounds of a frog. And that is what makes Diver Down a terrifying stand on its own. Once Diver Down gets inside of you, you are pretty much screwed. You have really no way of stopping the stand, basically fucking you up in the inside, because the only way pretty much is if you stop on a Sui before he can land an attack on you, which is, there's a couple stands I can think of on the top of my head, but for the most part, literally its only issue in combat is its range. But also, we seem to forget its secondary ability, energy storage. How this ability works is that basically Diver Down can leave an imprint of his attacks on an object, and if anybody touches that, they will suffer the attacks that was imprinted. This was shown only like once or twice, I think, which was shown on the door, and the people who touched it immediately got kicked back. And this was also shown somewhat again when it was shown that once Jotaro got cleaved in the neck, Diver Down also took that, but instead put it towards his hand, taking in most of the damage compared to Jotaro. I don't like this ability too much, but I can also see it as a bit of like him punching a bunch of rocks, and then the people who are farther away get hit, and then the punches just keep hitting them. And also, we are shown that Diver Down has strengths comparable to King Crimson, being able to cleave people's heads at ease. So, and also, not only that, Diver Down belonged to Anasui, one of the most psychopathic characters on JoJo's. He killed his girlfriend and the person she was cheating on him with in like the most brutal way. And also, that's not only going towards the fact that also Emporio brought up that Weather was able to calm Anasui down. So that means that Anasui with Diver Down was probably way more crazier before he met Weather Report. So that just comes to show that Diver Down is definitely a terrifying stand. And it just comes to show that not every overpowered stand has to be time manipulation or reality bending type of stand. Sometimes the way more simpler ones can be the most terrifying. And that will be my video on Diver Down. And hopefully you had a fun time today. Hopefully y'all had something to enjoy, talk about, leave a discussion if you think this should be counted as one of the most powerful stands. And what do you think is one of the more underrated overpowered stance? I have a couple in my head, like Underworld or Silver War, but there's usually a couple on top of my head. But what is y'all's thoughts on what is the most powerful stance? Now hopefully y'all enjoyed this video, and yeah, hopefully y'all have a great day, and yeah, see ya.